All right, ladies and gents, I'm so happy to be back on our regularly scheduled Pocket Change Market Report, June 20th, 2024. Thank you guys for tuning in. Happy early start to the summer. Happy early summer solstice. And that's not the only thing heating up. The coin market is its own, I guess, its own solstice itself. Um, the pocket change kind of idea of varieties and errors, has long been just a ridiculous niche, and what I mean by that is not a lot of people know about errors and varieties up until now. I think um, from what I've seen at shows and things that, there are even dealers that are paying more closer attention to things like repunchment marks, doubled dies, any sort of error under the sun. I'm seeing it more and more in dealer cases, and I'm seeing it more, especially represented on eBay, kind of like the national stage of everybody's personal coin dealer kind of pursuit, I guess. And the market is as good as ever. We have really a stacked list of coins all coming on eBay from eBay within the last about 24 hours. So very active period of time, and a lot of great stuff did pop here in the last day or two. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like usual, we talk about just the raw stuff. No graded coins. What's the use in grading a coin if it's not going to really enhance the value, especially when it comes to mint errors and die varieties? Sometimes just knowing what you have in attribution is going to be more than enough. You're going to find that the coins will sell for the full market value, whether they're encapsulated in plastic or not. We're going to take a look at these here in a moment. First and foremost, for those of you that are brand spanking new to my channel and to the platform Whatnot, we have a pretty big one coming up here tomorrow. We're going to be giving away a bunch of Garrett branded prospecting tools. We got two gold panning kits to give away. We got two AT Pro pointers. We have an AT Pro metal detector that's valued at about $600. We are giving this all away, and all thanks to you, because we hit 10,000 followers, ladies and gentlemen. So how can you take part of this event tomorrow night? It's real easy. All you have to do is follow my channel on Whatnot. Come join us. Come join the platform. And just come to our Gold Rush live event tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, we're going to have also a coin show as well. It's going to be a little bit smaller because I really do want to highlight the giveaway as the big thing for tomorrow's stream. So if you want to join up, I have a referral link down below in the description box. Sign up through that, and you're going to get $15 off your next purchase, or your first purchase rather. And it's going to be a good way to save some money or get something for free. Like silver is really hot right now. It went up another dollar an ounce today. It's been all over the place. But what we can say, it's volatile and the trading is very active. So there's a lot of general interest in PMs right now, and coins is benefiting as a result. So come join us. It's going to be a huge event, probably as big as my holiday giveaway stream like we did last December. But this is going to be cool. I cannot wait to do this, and I hope to see you guys there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into this list. Okay, we got about 27 individual listings to talk about. How about this one here? So a couple weeks ago, I talked about a lot of about 250 blank planchets, all Lincoln Cent planchets. They're all the Type 2 variety where they have the upset rims on them already, so they went through the upsetting mill and the whole 9 yards. They are ready for striking. So this person right here has a roll of 50 that they ended up selling for. You're never going to believe how much this one sold for. Only $60. Now, the reason why I say only, and for those of you that aren't aware, these sell like hotcakes for between $5 and $8. The recent Tulsa, Oklahoma show that I went to last week, there was a dealer that had about 300 of these in their case, and he ended up selling about 75% of them at $6 a piece. So you can imagine the kind of profit building engine that you could obtain that you can, really see by buying bulk lots of blank planchets. All right, these are pre-strike planchets, and then turn around and selling them at a reasonable price, and you're going to find that you're going to profit about $4 a piece by the time things are said and done. But $60 for a full roll isn't as good of a deal as that 250 piece lot that we showed 2 weeks ago. I think that one sold for like $100 or something. But I'm telling you, even at this price, you're going to be making some pretty good money, because this in a way is kind of a mid-error because it's an unstruck coin, and that's all of the allure that it needs to really support a healthy secondary market at a very affordable price. So keep that in mind. The next one that we have here, I've actually owned this same cut die break on this nickel. We don't know what the date is because the cut is right over the date, and part of Liberty, but it's a Jefferson nickel. It's a little bit out of focus, as you can see photographically, which is okay because you could see most of what you need to know. This particular one right here, a cut is developed when the dies or die, after a lot of wear and tear, will begin to crack, and then pieces will actually fall out of that die, thereby leaving an empty cavity. And then by the time these coins are struck, all that associated metal flow with the high pressure strike will go into the path of least resistance. It's going to be that empty cavity that will create these huge, monstrous, mountain-sized blobs on the coin. Now here's an even better close-up, and actually they nailed the close-up really well, as far as detail and how well this one looks. This particular example seems to be kind of a bargain today at $39.36. The one that I have and had sold, I sold for $75. So there was a lot of room here left over. I think this particular seller had this one at a buy it now listing, and someone scooped it up right away. The next one that we have here is a note that looks very similar to one that we highlighted on the last show from over the weekend, but it's a 1985 $1 bill. Guess what? All of that overprint is missing on this note. So what gives? The district seals, the serial numbers, all missing on this one. Believe it or not, it was actually printed on the back. So I'm sure it probably affected the entire subject sheet. Maybe most of them were pulled out during the quality control check process. But what we do know is this particular one, you have a full readable serial number on there. And it's from the what looks to be the Minneapolis district, which is generally a much tougher district, next to Kansas City and things like that. But man, this thing's cool. So it came by no surprise that someone scooped this up at $280.55. Again, we're talking about kind of like the top 10% of paper money errors. This one fits in that category pretty well. And the coin that everybody is talking about, is kind of making some waves right now. And probably very undeserving. It's a 2024 Lincoln Shield cent. They call this the no VDB cent, and a lot of people are finding them. But however, you guys need to know, when you look at a coin like this, even though you don't see the designer initials, you can actually see partial of the initials at the base of Lincoln's bust. This is simply a coin that was struck through a little bit of grease. That's what we have here. But because it comes hot off the heels of that extra V kind of variant that the grading companies are grading from last year, people are putting this one high atop a pedestal, and it's unproven. There's not a Mike Diamond or a Ken Potter or any of these big error people that have come forward and said, yes, this is kind of a major deal. There's none of that here. This is simply a coin that was struck through a little bit of residual grease, and that's why you have a weakly struck edge to it, because all of that grease, after so many strikes, all that grease have migrated through the process of that strike to the edge of the die. All right, so anything on the edge of the die will show up as a very weak area on the coin. So $26.01, 7 bids. I'm telling you guys, beware of this coin. You know, if you think you're getting something magical and all that, you know, you're really not. This is a very minor kind of mint error that usually commands about $5 to $6. Okay, and even still, is it, you know, it could be worth selling if you had a whole bunch of them, but at the end of the day, do not pay anything like this person paid for this one. And by the way, there were like 4 or 5 other examples that I did not put into PCMR this week that sold for between $20 and $40. All right, so the pitch is very feverish here. Again, just be careful. Do not invest in something like this if you know that there is some questionability about it. All right, so kind of crazy. Now, here's a coin, ladies and gentlemen, that has a huge ceiling. This is a coin that I had completely forgotten that exists, and it was more of a footnote in a Cherry Picker's Guide book. But it is also a coin that, if you're able to find, has a wild amount of secondary market value. And God forbid you find one of these in like a mint state 65 red or higher. This coin will be worth thousands of dollars if you're able to find one in that condition. But it's the 1966 Lincoln Cent. They only made these at the Philadelphia Mint. There were no Denver or San Francisco strikes. They did make an SMS coin, but that's not going to have the variety. This one is actually the FS 101. It's a doubled die obverse. You're going to have some of your strongest doubling on the word trust in areas of the motto, and also some thickening of the numbers and the dates, specifically the 9, 6, and 6. Now this one, the first 6 has a little bit of a contact mark, so that might be kind of like a red herring for people looking for this. But always make sure you look at the word trust. Take a look at the letters U, S, and that last T, and see how thick those are. The U will have a notched top to it, which is quite crazy, and then you're going to see also the separation too. So what are we talking about here? This is a coin that is not in the best of shape, but people do recognize how rare this one is, and that's the big reason why, folks, that it sold for $66.55 with 6 total bids. Again, it's a coin that, as the grade gets better, when it hits like AU condition, you know, with some mint color to it, that's a coin that's like $300 to $400. And then again, once you hit mint state condition, the price just exponentially goes up into the thousands. So that's how important this coin is. But also, additionally, that's how rare it is too. I have never personally found one of these, and I have looked through probably 100 plus BU rolls for this variety. No dice, man. The next one that we have here is a coin that, you know, not this specific coin, but it's a date that we've seen quite a bit with an off-center strike. Okay, these occurred out of collar, so there must have been some malfunction there. So it's a 1983 P, tougher date, you know, as we all know. They didn't make mint sets in 83. This one right here is off-center by probably like 30%. It's pretty big, but you do have a full readable date and mint mark. That's important. This one right here, quick buy now hit at $44. Pretty neat coin. Very nice, presentable example for a date set out there. And of course, the Statehood Quarter series has its fair amount of audience as well. People are looking for broad strikes and off-center strikes as well to help kind of complete maybe a date set or a statehood set kind of run. This is a 99p Georgia. It looks to be off-center by about like 7 or 8%. Nothing too crazy, but at the same time, it looks like a partial tilted collar. You can see it on the obverse, kind of that stepped area there where the off center is. So the collar was tilted a little bit during the strike. The edge of the coin made a little impact on that tilted collar, creating this event you see here. This one sold for $19.99. The Georgia quarter is one of the more common ones in off-center strikes that I have seen out in the marketplace. 1964 Washington quarter. This is actually a 90% silver. So, you know, generally these things are worth about melt, whether they're in this condition or uncirculated. They're very common, minted into the hundreds of millions. But there was something about this one that intrigued one buyer, and it's this crazy looking die crack that goes through the eagle's head. You know, someone saw something in this one that was particularly neat. It was that. So this one right here sold for $44.99. The seller actually put it up as a buy it now listing at this pretty big price, because me personally, I don't think it's worth that. But again, far be it from me to come in between someone that wants this coin and their hard-earned money. If they want it because of the anomaly, you know, let them buy it. And it's probably a coin that might get inserted into, say, you know, a Kudson Coins attribution. I think it's really cool. It's neat. It looks like, you know, the eagle was struck by lightning in a way, or a lightning bolt for that matter. $45, you know, that's solid. The next one that we have here, we got, again, more good paper money this week. 1996 $20 Fed Reserve note, okay? We've seen these before. They are certainly not immune to a wet ink transfer. That's what we have here. So it's a back to front partial wet ink transfer. You can actually see that transfer all the way on the left side of this note. Part of that reverse design was on the impression cylinder. It was very wet still. And then when they went to, you know, print the next note, any any of that ink remnants on the impression cylinder would transfer onto that sheet. So the note is actually in pretty good shape. It's got some teller marks on the edge there. This one here ended up selling for $119.74. This is kind of like that line, you know, where we don't see as many wet ink transfers. I think after this specific design, this big head 1996 style big head design, and it goes into the colorized notes, we don't see it as much there. And another neat one here, this is actually a 1969C $20 Fed Reserve note. Looks to be a clipped corner there, but it's so much more in that, I promise. Here's the reverse for you, but most importantly, it's a tiny little fold over, right? The corner of the subject sheet was folded in, and, you know, it was printed as normal and cut as normal. All right, so that corner was still folded in all throughout the processes of the printing and the cutting and all that stuff. It even made it into a bank strap and was sent off. So it completely passed through any sort of quality control, which is crazy. And because of that, you know, someone did discover this, sold it just today for $110. I mean, you know, it's over 5 times face value. I'd say that's a pretty good day's work there on something like that. Another cool one here. These are always being sold all throughout eBay. This is a 2004 D Wisconsin Statehood quarter with the high leaf variant. All right, so this one right here has an extra line that was never a part of the original dies, or the concept dies, or the plasters, whatever you want to call it. So some are speculating that was done intentionally to help strengthen the design, and that also is held true to the low leaf variant. It just looks too perfect for the design, you know, based off of what a lot of people are saying, and I'm okay with it. You know, something like this, you know, a little Easter egg, you know, never hurts coming from the mint. This one right here in this condition, which looks like it came out of circulation, $94.36. So for those of you looking for these were originally dumped in the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas region of the U.S. And even still to this day, these are being found in change. Pretty cool. 1982p candy half dollar. Okay, calling all half dollar roll hunters out there. Okay, if we're looking for silver, you got to keep in mind that these are out there and they're worth just as much in silver. Look at the condition. This thing, not, you know, it's not anything special. You know, it's got some weird spots on the front. Looks like staining or rust. It's anybody's guess. Could be paint. I don't know. But this is a very well-known variety. It's a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. They call this one the No FG initials. Frank Gasparo's initials have been polished away right there in that crux between the tail feathers and the little chicken wing right there, the leg of our heraldic eagle, of course. So yeah, that's the spot where FG would be normally during die prep and cleanup and maintenance. To maybe clean off some die clashing. You can actually see the little die file lines there, right below the right wing. And the arrows. So that's kind of what happened. Some employee went a little overzealous with the polishing, and it obliterated FG. Mr. Gasparo is nowhere to be seen on this one. So even in a coin in this condition, $15.12 is as good as any 90% silver half dollar that you could find. So, I mean, it's worth finding, and it's going to be worth some money. Just go ahead and sell it and then buy what you need. We have a couple back-to-back really pretty wheat cent back off-center coins. Now, once we get beyond 1959 for off-center strikes, these things get incredibly desired and they get more expensive. We have a 52D here. It looks to be it's off-center by about 25%. Very attractive, full readable date and mint mark. That's what collectors want from these. This one sold for $147.29. In comparison, a similar 1959, the first year of the Lincoln Memorial back of this same off-center strike, would be worth about 25 to 30 bucks. So you can see there's quite a discrepancy in the value between the memorial design with the same error compared to the wheat cent reverse with that same error as well. And we also have a 1936 here as well. This one's off center by about 10%. Although I love the condition of this coin. It's got a very nice kind of mint state brown. It's got hints of luster and kind of like that glossy satiny look to it. It's really cool. This one sold for $150. And again, that same parallel holds true. A similar 1959 Lincoln cent with the same off-center strike would be around 20 bucks. And then finally, we have this 1951D. There's just enough of that last digit to make it out. This one is off center, again, by 25%. Very attractive, nice high grade. This one also sold for $146.34. Just a real nice coin. And it's been a while since we highlighted another banger from Coins and Cards. How about a choice example of an 1879 Carson City Morgan? My goodness. I could only imagine this thing would probably grade in that 63 arena. This does not dissuade any bidders whatsoever. There are people that actually, kind of put it all out on the line, to own this one, to the point that bidding capped out at $5,238, and that's with 56 bids. I had no freaking clue that this coin was worth that kind of money. I hope it grades out, because that would be a huge win if it does. Here's our next piece of paper, 1981 $20 Fed Reserve note. Same deal here. We got another wedding transfer. This is what they call a partial. We have about a 65% partial back to front wedding transfer. So you can see the White House and a lot of the green design that's been transferred over. That was on the impression cylinder at one point. Very nice, clean example. It's kind of missing its right margin. Could have been a cutting error of sorts. We could see just kind of like how off-center the overall design is from right to left. Very beautiful note. I'm not going to say it's crispy uncirculated. It might be. It might also be like an AU58 as well. This one sold for $294.96. And this one here was saved in this little envelope. It's a 1974 $1 bill with a grossly misaligned overprint. The pictures were not that good. I tried to blow it up a little bit and it's just way pixelated. So I decided to keep it like this with the envelopes and all that stuff. You could see the overprint shifted way over to the right by a fair deal. This one right here sold for $219.36 with 3 total bids. So the bidding was fast and furious, and a couple of them. Nice little deal here. Okay, they're quite minor, but we have a pair of 1983 Lincoln Memorial cents with small cut die breaks. And you can see it down below, right around like the 5:30, 6 o'clock position at the bottom of each coin. A little bit of the dies had cracked, fallen off, and produced these two gems, which, by the way, are different in their own right. There's a little bit of the reverse for you. The coins are in great shape. There's like an errant carbon spot, especially on the coin on the left there on the N in United, which it's in the right spot where it's not too distracting. So this pairing sold for $29, and that's with 3 bids as well. We also have this 1996p Roosevelt dime. Check that out. Nice, really nice centered broad strike. It's probably about the size of a nickel or close to it. Again, we've seen Roosevelt dime off center strikes and broad strikes kind of like pull out of a tumultuous, pricing oblivion, because these things were cheap. They're not so much these days. These used to be 10, 15 bucks 6 months ago. This one here sold for $30.93 with 16 bids. I think the secret's out. There's a lot more love for Roosevelt dime out of collar errors. And, let's not forget, this one does exist. If you live in Alabama or the panhandle of Florida, you can find this, even still to this day. 2022p Wilma Mankiller American Women Quarter. This is the single-sided retain cut. You can see that right on top of Washington's head. So a piece of the die had cracked but not fallen out yet. There is another variant with a huge retain cut on the reverse. The double-sided cut still valued at about $300 to $500 today. This one right here was kind of a steal. I'll buy it now of $134.36. It might just be the market for it. I wish I would have seen it. I've been looking for one of these for quite a while for around this price level. Another great looking cut die break here. Non-readable date. It does have a P mint mark, so it's a specific date. Nice huge cut right there. So a piece of the die had fallen out. And this area, from what I understand where the date is a very weak area on the working dies. So this was actually a common occurrence in the late 70s and early 80s till the mint actually and eventually modified the dies. So that way they're not as recessed in that area. So this one sold for $125.61, 22 bids. And it looks like on the obverse, right where Liberty and, back of Washington's hair and on his face, there's some contact marks or scratches or something like that. So it's a coin that has a few issues. Aside from that, a very impressive mint error. 1945p Silver War Nickel. This one is a silver manganese alloy, and that led to a lot of annealing issues. We have this crazy looking lamination detachment, and you can see it there on the obverse. Quite stunning to see it like this. And this one right here, a $40 sale. All right, and I believe that was a buy it now hit. Another off-center Lincoln wheat cent. This one looks like it was struck with deteriorated dies because it's a very weak strike. Not really a readable date on there. You can see the 1 and 9, but that really doesn't, account for anything. It could be from the 40s, 50s, the 30s. It's anybody's guess, but without a full readable date, it makes it a little bit less desirable, but not less important. This one here sold for $54.96 with 10 bids, which is about a third of what an example would sell for with a full readable date. And one that we saw sell a few days ago, we have yet again another example here. I mean, what gives? Most people would run and throw these at any grading service under the sun, but we've seen probably 3 or 4 raw examples, very nice ones, might I add, sold in the last 7 to 10 days. 1937D, 3-legged buffalo. What are we looking at here? Obviously, you're going to have an over-braided front leg of the buffalo. You got to make sure to ensure that this one is legitimate and not, fabricated. This one will have kind of like that weird P line. It's a raised pebbly area. I don't know if the dies were kind of deformed in that area or there's a little rust that created that. But also this back hind leg is going to look pretty well weak looking, like this one is here. So this one has all the right stuff. I'm going to give it my seal of approval that this one is indeed a genuine example of a 3 legs. So this one sold for quite a bit less than that last one. And I think it looks a little bit better. This one doesn't appear to be cleaned like the other one. $733.90 with 16 bits. I mean, this thing is going to end up grading about XF45, and it's probably going to end up in a graded holder. Someone made a great purchase here. I've never seen this cut before in my life. 1987 Lincoln Memorial Scent. Look at that long cut on the obverse there. This thing is madcap crazy, man. I love it. You can see the corresponding weakness on the reverse, right where United is. Yeah, I mean, this is one that, I'd like to say that I've seen most of the Cud die breaks, even the crazy counter clash Cud on 1983 Lincolns. And this one right here, I would say is a little bit more rare than that one. So that probably is the reason why it sold for $99.95. It is circulated, so it's not the best looking condition piece, but who cares? If it's that scarce, go for it. And then finally, the last one is probably the cleanest copper plated zinc Lincoln scent that was struck through a cap die that I have seen in my life. This thing is super straight and smooth. It's for the most part problem free. It's kind of crazy. It did weigh out at 2.5 grams per the seller, so it does support the copper plated zinc composition here on this one. So it's post 1982, of course. Yeah, if you find one of these with a fully struck reverse and a really, really weak obverse, but with a full rim, that's what you got. It's a huge coin. $114.19 with 4 total bids. I think it has everything to do with the look of it. It's not too late stage of a strike through where you're seeing more of the devices from the die. This thing is like borderline medium, kind of like that mid die to later die state. It's not a very late die state. It's just really cool. And it sold for probably about what I consider to be about 3 times what the normal market is for this particular era. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. The information provided in this video is for educational use only. I have informational and information twice on that same line. It's crazy, I know. None of this is financial advice. Please do collect and or grade responsibly as always. And that's going to do it, my friends. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Keep on collecting, my friends. Look out for some of these coins and cash in. These are some pretty nice finds that are being pulled out of bankrolls. They're being cherry picked from eBay and coin shows and coin shops, you name it. These are really representative of what's out there, and the real world market for them, as we speak of, are all within the last day or two. All right, so I will see you guys later. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Come check me out on Whatnot. My link is down below if you haven't signed up before. We're giving away a metal detector tomorrow on Friday, a huge one. I hope to see you guys there. Have a great Friday, and I'll see you soon.